Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. I'm coming to you sitting in front of my bookshelf because today we're going to do a bookshelf reorganization. This is something that I've been putting off for literally years. So the way that for a while that I'd been handling like books and things like that, like my bookshelves, is over the course of a year, as I would read books that I physically owned or I would purchase books, I would put them into piles like this. On my bookshelf. Like as I would read a book, I would assess like, do I want to keep this book or not? If the immediate answer was no, then I would put it into a separate pile to take to one of my local used bookstores. If it was a book I did want to keep or I was like unsure about whether or not I wanted to keep, I would put it into a pile like this. And then at the end of the year, after I'd recorded my favorites video, I would go through the stack of books from that year, and obviously I would keep the ones that were my favorites, and then I would make sure that the ones that I was like maybe on the fence about, come to a final assessment as of that point of, do I want this to stick around on my bookshelf or not? And if the answer was yes, then I would take all of the books that I was keeping and like separate them and organize them in terms of like fiction and nonfiction and put them properly away on my shelves and like basically like reassess my bookshelves and reorganize my bookshelves. However, I haven't done this process since December 2019. Like at the end of 2020, was not feeling it at all. Actually, I'm not even sure if I properly did it in December of 2019, and I know for sure I didn't do it at the end of 2020, and now, it's February 2022 and I didn't do it at the end of 2021. So I have a few years worth of books to go through, which is why, like normally, there might be a couple of books like double stacked like this, but for the most part, like this whole bookshelf has been like pretty clear outside of like the books that I was keeping for this year. But now this entire bookshelf is completely getting to the double stack point, and I was like, okay, I really need to take care of the situation. So I figured if I'm going to reorganize my bookshelf, I'll take y'all along the journey with me. I'm not going to do like a whole proper bookshelf tour or anything like that, but I'll run through basically like my organization system as it sits right now, and then I'll take you, briefly through what my bookshelves look like at the end of this. So the way it's set up now is, let me turn the camera around and then you can see it. So this shelf on the left is basically nonfiction all the way down until like in that second to bottom shelf there's comics behind there, and then it overflows a little bit into the bottom, and then the bottom is sort of like my mass market paperbacks and the books from my childhood and some oversized books, and then like those are like single issue comics and some keepsakes from college. Then this whole section, because I mostly read fiction, is all my fiction books going down, and also in this dresser, which you'll see in a second as I'm organizing stuff, I have books in these dressers as well. And yes, I did steal this idea from Marie Gilmore, but it worked out really well. It's actually a really good idea. And then up top, these are all of my unread books, which those will be staying. That section is fine. It's really this situation I need to deal with. So I have no idea how long this is going to take me, because I know everything that's like properly on a shelf is like where it needs to be. It's all the stuff that's double stacked to like this, where I'm just like, I don't know if this is actually where it's supposed to be, and or I haven't looked at it and made sure that it's a book that I want to keep. So I'm gonna like go through all of these. If I don't want to keep it, I'm gonna put it on my bed. If it's a fiction book I want to keep, it's going to go on the floor. And if it's a nonfiction book I want to keep, because I know there's not a lot, I'll probably put it on like my little blue chair over here. And then I can go through and start figuring out how to put them all on the shelves. The way I have my bookshelves organized now is that within each like section, like fiction, nonfiction is organized by author for the most part, but I also do sort of like adjust it a little bit so that way it looks nice in my eyes. So yeah. We're gonna do this thing now. Wish me luck. Alright, so I went through the books. They're all sitting on the floor now. This is stage one. But I thought I would just show you really quickly like the books I'm getting rid of. Night Theater, read this a couple years ago. This is fine, but it's not great. I'm like, I like it and I like the cover, so part of me wants to keep it because of that, but I didn't love it. So because I know I'm going to be running out of space or running low on space, I'm just going to get rid of this one. First book in the Maisie Dobb series. Again, liked it. Don't think I'm going to continue on with the series because I tried to read the second one and I was like, don't like it as much as the first one. I mean, there's a chance I will enjoy it, but I don't think that this is a book I need to own. And I don't think it's a series I need to own. It's very popular, so it doesn't need my money. So if I read it, I'm going to get it from the library, so I don't need to have it in my collection. The Friend, didn't love it. I know it's super popular, but just wasn't for me. Emergency Contact, had very conflicted feelings about this book, but in the end, it wasn't one that I loved. The Prince of Mournful Thoughts and Other Stories. I just read this one and I liked it. I didn't love it. I don't feel the need to keep it in my collection. So those are the books from the piles that I had sort of like double stacked. So these are books that I've read within the past like 2-ish years that I don't feel like keeping. So the ones that are currently on my floor are the ones that I want to put on my bookshelf. So the pile for nonfiction is not super big. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through my nonfiction shelves and pulling out books that I don't want to keep anymore, and then like putting on these books and seeing how it looks from there. Also, I forgot that I had a couple of comics, so I'm going to have to like stick those in to the comic section as well. But now you can at least see the books that are back there. And I feel like I haven't seen these books in so long because they've been double stacked forever. So yeah, I'm gonna start organizing the non-fiction section because that won't take as long. The fiction section will take some time. Also, I'm listening to the audiobook of How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. Very good. I'm in the epilogue right now, so I'll probably be finishing it over the course of me organizing all this stuff. So yeah, let's get back into it. Next update. I have finished organizing these shelves. They look quite nice. So some of the things that I did was like a little bit of a cheat, but these are things I've been wanting to do for a while. I basically took off all of the books that are my Christian faith-based books, and I want to put them in their own section. Also, I want to kind of like reassess those to see if they're ones I actually want to keep. But yeah, I want to put them in their own section. I also removed one of the little magazine holders that I had down there, because those two that are down there are all my single issue comics, which I'm keeping with the comics section, which makes sense. Then the other one I put on this other shelf. I have like a shelf of DVDs, which I also want to organize. That I won't film because there's no point in filming those. But that shelf is like a true mess too. Like, quick glance, you can see full of a lot of crap. I'll deal with that later. But I know that there's stuff on there that I don't want to keep and all that stuff. And I feel like once I reorganize that, I can put some of my Christian books on that shelf. But now I have plenty of room on my nonfiction section for more books, which is always exciting. The fiction section I know will be a different situation. So basically what I'm going to do now, and the way that I always like do these reorganizations, is I'm going to alphabetize all of the books that are down here by author last name, because my shelves are currently organized in that way, and so it'll help me like sort of slot them in, and then I can like move things and adjust things as needed. I will say the one thing that I'm doing is I'm keeping my copy of the maybe I should just put this in nonfiction because there's space. I was like, I'm gonna put all my John Green books together, but I might actually just put this in the nonfiction section. Let's just put this in the nonfiction section right now together. See, plenty of space. Bam. Done. Okay. I was going to be like, I'm going to put all my John Green books together, but I changed my mind about that. The one thing I will do, though, is I'm going to put all my John Steinbeck books together, because I do have my copy of Travels with Charlie that I read last year, and they're all like the same edition, and so I think they would just be nice all together, even though it's going to be hidden in those drawers. Yeah, that's the choice that I'm making right now. One day, I will have my own space for a library, and then I can organize these books how I want properly, but for now, this will do. So yes, let me continue on with this ever-exhausting process. next update. I finished this fiction shelf over here. So I'm at the point now where I thoroughly regret doing this. So basically, like, because there's more books that need to be put on these shelves, and I'm not really culling a whole lot anymore because we're at the point now where it's very rare that I want to get rid of any of these books. There's just more books to account for. So for example, this shelf is all A's. This shelf is all B's, basically, author last name B's with a couple of exceptions. This is my general, like, series shelf that I never really change. Although I did change it a little bit, but anyways. And then down there are like C's and D's, and then E, F, G's. So basically A through G is now on here, where previously it was A through H. And so what I'm realizing now is I need to basically pull out each drawer individually of books and then repack all of the drawers in order to fit in all of these books that I've pulled out. So now I just have piles of books on my floor. So all of that is stuff that was on my bookshelf originally, but is now needs to be moved into those drawers. And this is all the stuff I still have left to figure out what I'm going to do with. So making progress ever so slowly. Starting to get hungry, so there's a chance I might, like, honestly, I might just go grab a snack. There's always this point in the bookshelf reorganization where I just regret my life and regret my choices. Hello, it's been a couple hours. I've been working on this situation, and I thought I would provide an update of the fact that I don't have enough room in my drawers anymore. So I'm at the very bottom drawer, and I knew that there were books down here. I'd forgotten how full this drawer is, which is basically full. And like what I've been doing is like I pull the books out of the drawer and then I like reorganize them with the new books and all of that stuff, and like everything's been like shifted over. So like a drawer, like this drawer for example, now starts with the letter T or W, like authors with the last name T or W, but now it needs to start with authors starting with the last name of R. I'm not sure what to do. So there's all these books, and then there's all like this really obnoxiously tall stack, these plus this little stack plus all the ones down there on the floor, or what I have left. And so I need to make some choices of what's going to happen now. There's going to be some double stacking that's happening on my shelves now. / I need to buy a new bookshelf. So I need to make some choices. I've been wanting to buy a new bookshelf anyways, and I want to buy like a 3-shelf bookshelf, or I could buy one of those like book cart things that everyone has, because then like whatever's left over from like the end of the alphabet can go like on the top shelf here, and then I can move all my unread books to the book cart. That might actually have to be the temporary solution. I genuinely didn't expect this, obviously, because if I had expected this, I would have gone out and bought a bookshelf or a book cart prior to starting this vlog. Oh, the wonderful joys of real vlogging. Anyways, I'm going to get back to organizing my books and figure out what I'm going to do. Alright, you guys can tell I've been at this for quite some time because it's now dark out. But I thought I would give you an update as like a final update for the day, because I'm gonna have to run to the store tomorrow. I mean, I guess I could theoretically go to the store today because it's 5:30 and stores are open past 5:30, but I don't have the energy, and I'm already gonna be out and about tomorrow, so I figured I'll go to the store tomorrow, and this will just be like a weekend long vlog. I was able to get basically all of the books up through T, so author last names through T, into like either on my shelves or in these drawers. But this is just the pile that's left, so it's not too terrible. I feel like this is not too many books, so that's good. Although, you know, it does bring up the question of what do I do now with books that I continue to read and things like that. Like when all of those books are done being read, what am I going to do with them? That's for future Rincey to figure out, so I'm just not going to deal with that. There's this mess on my bed that I'm going to have to deal with. Some of those are books I'm getting rid of. Some of them are, like I said, faith-based books. And I also have like some of my like little, like I had like decorative books up that you guys could see in the background, and little trinkets and stuff like that's on my shelves. So I need to put all that stuff back. So I'm gonna have to deal with that situation tonight because I need to go to sleep. I mean, I guess I could put it all on my floor, but I have time to deal with it. So yeah, that's my update. I'm feeling good, not great, because it would have been great if all of the books actually fit, but now I'm at the point now where I have more books than storage space, which I knew was going to be happening eventually, but I need to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm hoping that I can go to IKEA tomorrow. I have an IKEA that's not too far from me, and there will be some options there, because looking at their website, like, you know, supply chain, etc., a lot of the like standard options are not at IKEA. Like, there are literally no Billy bookshelves there, Billy bookcases, whatever, because these are both Billy's, and I really like them, but they don't have any there, so can't do that. My goal is to find something that'll fit here, which I think I should be able to do, but we'll see. So wait for updates in the future. So this was quite the adventure. So I started organizing this on Saturday. It's now Monday, and it's now officially done. Well, close to officially done. I'll explain in a second. On Sunday, I ended up going to IKEA with my friends. I went to go pick up this specific bookshelf because I wanted specifically like the Billy 3 shelf. All of my bookshelves are Billy bookcases, but I knew like I didn't want the 5 shelf on this side because I felt like walking in to my room through the door, it would be like too overwhelming. So I specifically wanted the 3 shelf Billy bookcase, and on the show floor at IKEA, they had this, and I was like, perfect, that's exactly what I want. Said it was in stock. Went down to the, you know, first level where you pick up these like big bookcases, and it was completely empty, and someone else was looking for this bookcase as well, and they were talking to an associate when I was walking by. She was basically like, we're getting a shipment in tomorrow, and there'll be some Billies on there, so you can come back tomorrow. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I went back luckily I lived close enough to IKEA that I could drive back again today after work, and it was a much better experience because, you know, no one goes there on a Monday. And I got my Billy bookshelf, put it together, put my books on there, and now I can give you all the final grand tour. I still have like a whole mess of things I need to deal with, but those aren't things that go on the bookshelf. I just need to figure out where I'm going to put them now. So onto the bookshelf tour. Okay, so I did put this stack of books back because these are the books I need to talk about in my February wrap-up. But we got nonfiction, a candle that I never light that I think is very pretty, some cross stitch, more nonfiction, a fake plant, a gift from a friend is over here, more nonfiction. These are books that I've read so far this year, as well as my Kindle. I basically use this shelf as like my nightstand. Final parts of my nonfiction comics. Down here, overstock, single issue comics. Overstock, I meant oversized, like this giant Shakespeare and this. And then back there, my mass market paperbacks and books from when I was a kid. Over here, we have the start of the fiction shelf. So all of this is fiction, basically in alphabetical order by author last name. This is the exception. I put all of the like Harry Potters and my multiple copies of To Kill a Mockingbird that I own together because this is the bigger shelf, so they can fit them all, as well as my other like J.K. Rowling stuff. You can see there's Hunger Games books over there. And then continuing on, that copy of Moby Dick technically shouldn't be there alphabetically, but it didn't fit in the shelf. It was supposed to fit in, and I was like, you know what? I'll just put it with the other oversized, or not oversized, but like Penguin classic that I have in this section. And then I put Kamala on top so she has a nice little stand to stand on. Final part, again, that Shel Silverstein book shouldn't be there, but it works. And then I'm not going to be able to show you all of the drawers because I had to move my chair to be closer, but I'll do my best to at least give you a glance of what they look like. On the top of my dresser, I have my unread books as well as the books I have checked out from the library at this time. And then this is what the drawers look like. Obviously, it doesn't all fit perfectly. I have some books sitting like this, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good. Here's another set. It's not a perfect situation, but I rarely go in these drawers, so I feel like it works. Now I'm just standing on my chair. And then finally, we have my new bookshelf, which has the fiction books with authors' last names at the end of the alphabet. And then down here, I ended up putting all my Christian books because I was very surprised at how much space I have. So these are all books that I have read. These are ones that I'm currently working through, as well as my Bible and my journal. And then down there, I just threw that book because it's what I'm going to be reading for my Chunky Chapter Book Club in March, as well as the next planner that I'm going to use because my planner runs out in February because it's an undated planner. So that's everything. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It turned out to be significantly more complicated than I expected it to be, but hopefully it makes for a fun video. I feel like I didn't make too many drastic changes, but I just have enough books that I had to move a lot of things around, and now my shelves are clear again and they're not fully double stacked again. They'll probably slowly get double stacked again over time, but hopefully now at the end of every year, like I like to do, I'll be sure to assess the situation and make adjustments as necessary. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.